Welcome to the 700 Club. The battle is on as Republicans rush to confirm a new Supreme Court justice in the wake of the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The president pledged this morning to name a nominee on Friday or Saturday. The question is, can the Senate get it done before the end of the year?
Well, even if they succeed, the battle's not over. What overwhelming opposition are the Democrats planning? Well, Paul Strand reports.
Democrats are doing all they can to stop President Trump and the Republican-controlled Senate confirming a replacement for Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
We have arrows in our quiver that I'm not about to discuss right now.
They're charging the GOP with hypocrisy because Senate Leader Mitch McConnell has pledged to bring the nominee to a vote, even though he wouldn't act on Barack Obama's final Supreme Court nomination in his last year.
Please follow your conscience. Don't vote to confirm anyone nominated under the circumstances President Trump and Senator McConnell have created.
But Republican Senator Ted Cruz said the precedent has always been if the White House and Senate are controlled by the same party, the confirmation process goes forward. He insisted that's particularly important now because the court really needs 9 justices who might end up picking the winner in this hotly contested presidential election year.
We need a full court on Election Day. Given the very high likelihood that we're going to see litigation that goes to the court, we need a Supreme Court that can give a definitive answer for the country.
This battle, though, could all be moot if 4 Republican senators refuse to vote for a nominee before the election. And 2 have already taken that position, Maine's Susan Collins and Alaska's Lisa Murkowski. If a majority will vote, though, the question still remains, can the Senate get this confirmation done in time?
The average is probably in the 60s and 70s in terms of number of days, but it's certainly there's well more than that amount of time before the end of the year, and that's what Leader McConnell has committed to. He said we're going to have a vote before the end of the year.
President Trump said this weekend he'll move quickly on a nominee.
We will uphold equal justice under the law for citizens of every race, color, religion, and creed. I will be putting forth a nominee next week. It will be a woman. It will be a woman.
Everyone expects a nasty battle because if Trump nominates a solid conservative, it will tilt the court in their favor 6-3.
I think that this is going to make the Kavanaugh confirmation hearing seem like a dust-up. Because if President Trump is the person who will appoint Justice Ginsburg's replacement, you're going to be replacing a liberal icon. 2 candidates said to top the president's list, Barbara Lagoa, a Cuban-American on the 11th Circuit Court, and 7th Circuit Judge Amy Coney Barrett, a runner-up to Brett Kavanaugh's last go-around. Americans United for Life's Catherine Glenn Foster says Barrett's a solid constitutionalist.
She is not someone who is going to act as a judicial activist, who is going to substitute her own personal preferences for our nation's founding principles.
Ginsburg spent much of her life fighting for the equal treatment of women. Foster says Barrett may be conservative, but her balancing of work and family honor what Ginsburg wanted for women.
It would be very beneficial to all Americans, to all women, and really be an honor to the legacy of Justice Ginsburg to have a young mother on the court, a mother of 7.
The third-ranking Republican senator, the Democrats will take vengeance if this nomination goes through, and then they take power.
Chuck Schumer has been very clear. The Democrats have been very clear. If they win the White House and the Senate, all bets are off. They are going to blow up the filibuster. They are going to use the nuclear option. They are going to stack the Supreme Court.
The president has said he'll pick a nominee this week. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from the Supreme Court.
Well, CBN Chief Political Analyst David Brody is joining us. And David, it sounds like the battle's on. If we got a taste of it with Kavanaugh, what are you expecting to happen on this?
Yeah, Gordon, Brett Kavanaugh may look like child's play after all of this, and that's not good because we know how bad it got, really bad with Brett Kavanaugh. And look, Nancy Pelosi says she's got some quivers in the arrow. We're about to find out. But here's the truth of the matter. Procedurally, Democrats can't do a thing. I mean, their strategy at this point is called scared straight, and basically trying to get Republicans, a few of them, a handful, to get scared straight to say, look, if you do this, we're going to blow up the Senate next year if we get control. And so that's what they're trying to do, persuade their colleagues. How would they blow it up, Gordon? Lots of different ways. You heard a little bit of that at the end as it relates to maybe eliminating the legislative filibuster that takes 60 votes. Of course, we've heard about packing the court, adding as much as up to 13 Supreme Court justices. And then don't forget statehood on the table for D.C. and Puerto Rico. That would be potentially 4 new senators, most likely Democrat senators. And so this is the road that we could be going down, according to Democrats, if Republicans go with this move.
Well, aren't they all just sort of nuclear options, aren't they? I mean, FDR was the last one that tried to pack the court, and as popular as he was as a president, he found out he couldn't do it, and actually cost him politically. He wasn't able to get legislation through because he attempted to pack the court. Aren't they at all afraid there could be a backlash if they do that?
Sure, you're absolutely right. But let's also remember, this all started, if you think about it, back in 2013. And we remember those stories. I was reporting on it, and we were covering it here at the 700 Club when Harry Reid and the Democrats decided to eliminate the filibuster on federal appeals court judges. That was at 60. They said, no, we want these federal appeals court judges confirmed, so we're going down to 50. And then Mitch McConnell, when the Republicans gained control, eliminated the filibuster for Supreme Court nominees. And so if Republicans go ahead and take this step, that's the third of the potential fourth step, because the fourth step could be Democrats doing everything we just talked about.
All right. Well, the Republicans have to hold together, and 2 Republican senators, one from Maine, one from Alaska, have already said they're against it. Are there any others who are on the fence?
Well, everybody's looking at Mitt Romney. Now, so it's just so we can do the quick math, and I wasn't a big math fan, but I think I can do this. 53 Republican senators, you can only lose 3, because if you get to 50, Mike Pence, the Republican vice president, would break a tie, so you're okay there. So you can only lose 3. You're going to lose Lisa Murkowski. You're going to lose Susan Collins. You probably will lose Mitt Romney. That's my sense of it. That takes you to 50. You cannot lose one more Republican senator. Everybody's looking at Cory Gardner in Colorado. He's the wild card. He's the one to watch, Gordon. He's in a very tough battle against John Hickenlooper out in Colorado for the Senate seat. And so the question is, what is Cory Gardner going to do? I don't want to get into all of the politics here, but I'll just say this, that the concern with Cory Gardner is that he wants to kind of break away from Trump. Well, this would be a good way to do that, to break away from Trump. At the same time, he needs the Republican base to win a second term. So all eyes on Cory Gardner, I think, going forward.
Well, let's get into the politics, because I think this is ultimately is what it's going to come down to. This is an election year. The Senate is at stake. It's not just the executive branch. If the Republicans don't hold together and don't get this done, isn't there going to be a backlash from the base against anyone that defects?
Oh, 100%, Gordon. You're absolutely right. And so then it kind of brings up this big question of, when do Republicans move on this? I mean, there's no question they're going to move on it. As a matter of fact, the president most likely will be nominating a Supreme Court justice here in the next day or two, later this week. The question is, does Mitch McConnell have the vote before the election or after? Of course, a lot depends on Cory Gardner and all the politics involved, but there's a political calculation, too, about if you hold the vote before or after. You know, the sense, at least from my political analysis standpoint, I think you have to hold the vote before. I mean, if you hold the vote after, I mean, you really are rolling the dice. I mean, what if Donald Trump doesn't win? What if the election there isn't no certain outcome? I mean, then you're really, talk about politics, then you're really looking political. You're already looking political, but you'll even look more political if you do it in a lame duck session.
Well, any insight on the nominees? You know, we've heard about 2 prominent ones. Any others in the mix that we should know about?
I'll go out on a limb and say I think the pick's going to be Amy Coney Barrett. She's the consensus pick, I think, overall inside the White House, and quite frankly, outside the White House. There's finally kind of at the end here a new push for Barbara Lagoa. She's got a great story. Her parents came over from Cuba. We know you'll know more of that story if indeed she's picked. And Donald Trump loves a good story. But Amy Coney Barrett checks way too many of the boxes that Donald Trump would probably enjoy. Number one, she's beloved by evangelicals and legal circles. Conservatives love her. She clerked for Antonin Scalia. She is a known commodity. Barbara Lagoa is not a known commodity, especially on the abortion issue. I think that ultimately may be the deciding factor here. And so I know there's been a lot of talk about Barbara Lagoa being from Florida, and Trump could maybe win Florida if he picks Barbara Lagoa. And yes, politics is involved. But the truth of the matter is, I think he'll go with Amy Coney Barrett. Remember, she was a runner-up last time. Brett Kavanaugh was a runner-up to Neil Gorsuch last time as well. So I think this is the standard play. That's my expectation is what you'll see. By the way, she's got a great story, too, Amy Coney Barrett, mother of 7 children, pro-life Roman Catholic. She'll be the first to admit it. And one of her children has Down syndrome. And actually, she found out that the child had Down syndrome while she was pregnant, had the child, obviously, anyhow. And she has also adopted 2 children from Haiti. So she's got a great story to tell, too. All right. Well, you've got a great story to tell, too, David. I mean, this is going to be full contact politics. This is blood sport time, and I think there are going to be casualties in the wake of it. David, thanks for the insight, and we look forward to future reports. Thanks, Gordon. Well, Gulf Coast residents are bracing for another storm. Tropical storm Beta is set to hit the Texas coast this evening. Heavy rain is expected to bring flooding on the coast, and parts of Louisiana still recovering from Hurricane Laura 3 weeks ago. This hurricane comes in just after Hurricane Sally dumped massive amounts of rain on Florida, bringing devastating floods. And then right after Sally moved out, Operation Blessing moved in. This truck full of aid is making delivery to Liberty Church in Pensacola with food, water, and Home Depot relief buckets full of cleaning supplies. As a line of cars came through the church parking lot, volunteers handed out the much-needed assistance to help residents in their time of need.
We've seen smiles on people's faces that probably haven't smiled in days, and it probably meets a bigger need than we can even possibly imagine. So from the bottom of our hearts, we're grateful to Operation Blessing and the individuals that make this possible for us to serve the people that we love in our community.
Well, if you want to be a part of the relief actions of Operation Blessing, all you have to do is call us. 1-800-700-7000. Just say, I want to give to the Disaster Relief Fund, the CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23463. Or you can go to cbn.com. There are multiple ways where you can give, and you can be a part of helping those in need.